Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Truly Bedrock Season 4. This is episode 37. How's everybody doing? I'm doing alright. In the last episode, we built this guy here. And I've AFK'd at it for a little while, and it's doing pretty good. We've got almost a chest worth of leather, and then we have almost a double chest worth of steak, or cooked beef rather, which is nice. And, we talked about the Trident Killer and automatically cooking and different things like that. We could gain more leather and more beef if we had a Trident Killer with a looting sword. But as I said, I really don't want to filter the raw beef out, put it through any kind of smelting and stuff, unless we could easily automate it with, like, campfires, which we can't. So yeah, I don't want to keep up with fuel in a smoker or furnace or anything like that and have to go back and forth between different things. I want to sit here and just collect steak, and this is the result of my AFKs so far. Now, I have been thinking about a couple of different things as far as potentially selling the leather and maybe even the cooked beef, back at the base area. Does my key work? Oh, it still works. Look at that. And I'd originally talked about putting shulkers in here for that reason. So we may still do that, at least on the leather side of things, and we may also do it over at this area for a couple of different things. But as it sits right now, this farm is working and it's working good, as we see here. Another thing to note a little bit is we have made the switch to cooked beef. We were using mushroom stew for a long time, but it did take up 3 inventory slots, with red mushrooms, brown mushrooms, and a bowl, where the cooked beef only takes 1. So that's one added benefit, and there's many other benefits to cooked beef. And as a matter of fact, what I want to do is kind of dive a little bit further into foods and saturation gain, hunger haunches gain, farm abilities, and things like that to kind of explain my transition from mushroom stew to cooked beef. And to help us dive further into understanding Minecraft food and saturation gain, hunger haunches gain, and stuff like that, there's no better way that I could think of than jumping into a modded world that we've done some things on before. This is the world we used to help build the Nether Hub last season. This is a modded version of 1.16, and it has some neat things. Up in the left-hand corner, up here, you'll see like a tooltip. It shows you what you're looking at, and things like that. And then we have JEI over here, where if we look for things like cooked, we can look at this cooked pork chop right here, and it actually tells us the hunger haunches gained as well as the saturation, which is why we're here. So I have created an arbitrary list full of all the Minecraft foods, and you will see that there is one missing, one that I can think of, and that is glowberries. And that is because this is 1.16, not 1.18, where glowberries were introduced, or 1.17 something, who knows. You guys probably know, I don't. Anyway, I would imagine glowberries are very similar to sweet berries as far as saturation and hunger haunches and stuff like that, so we're going to make that assumption. Now, I say this list is arbitrary for a couple of different reasons. I've seen people do these before, and you can change things up. You could argue that golden apples are far better than golden carrots because you get added effects like fire resistance and regeneration, plus a couple of hearts. You can also eat golden apples, I believe, at any time, regardless of hunger. Whereas the rest of these foods, you have to be hungry to eat them. There's the rain. And so you could switch some of this up, but this is the basic list I have here. Golden carrot, golden apple, cooked steak, pork chop, pumpkin pie, mutton, cooked salmon, chicken, mushroom stew, beetroot soup, cooked rabbit, bread, cooked cod, baked potato. Then the next tier we have carrot, apple, coarse fruit, raw beef, raw pork, raw rabbit. Then we have the raw mutton, beetroot, melon, potato, kelp, raw cod, the tropical fish, raw salmon, sweet berries, cookies, and cake. Then we have on the last level all of the poisonous foods, starting with spider eye, chicken, poisonous potato, rotten flesh, and puffer fish. Now, cake actually doesn't have a hunger haunch and saturation gain, but it is very similar to the cookie. So, we have the list here, but as you can see, the tooltip doesn't show us what's going on. Luckily, we have this crystal chest that has our entire list in it as well. So let's dive a little further into this. The golden carrot and the golden apple, as far as hunger haunches gained, are not the best food in the game because there's better stuff right here. The golden carrot does have the highest saturation value. It has one more hunger haunch than steak, or cooked beef in Bedrock, making it one of the best foods in the game. Now, if you wanted to farm any of these foods, you're going to have to set up some infrastructure and farms. If we wanted to farm golden carrots, we'd have to set up villagers and a source of emeralds. If you wanted to farm golden apples, again, you would need villagers or chopping a bunch of trees and then a gold farm. You could set up a passive mob farm to get all of the different meats. You would get some added benefits like wool, leather, and feathers doing a passive mob farm, or you could do a mooshroom farm like I did, getting leather and steak, then cooking all of this different stuff. Setting up a rabbit farm is a little bit more tricky. Planting mushrooms, we know how that goes. Planting beetroot, planting carrots, potatoes, a kelp farm with automatic smelting. All of these take time to set up, right? Cocoa beans and wheat. So farming really isn't a thing I think plays a factor into it, because you can set up farms for all of this stuff. Cooked chicken is an early game farm that you can easily set up, capturing yourself a couple of chickens. AFK collecting some eggs and then setting the cooker up. They're relatively easy. But things like pumpkin pie you can get from villagers. You don't have to set up infrastructure. You can trade this. Of course, you will need emeralds and villagers, which are always fun to deal with in Bedrock. But anyway, moving down this list, we have steak, cooked pork chop, and pumpkin pie. They all give 4 hunger haunches, but the saturation between pork chops and steak is better than pumpkin pie, better than golden apples, but not as good as golden carrots. This row here is all 3 hunger haunches, and then the saturation goes from just about 5 saturation all the way down to 3. These are all 2 hunger haunches, and actually these are actually out of order. Should go apple, coarse fruit, then carrot, because this is just slightly less than 2 hunger haunches gained, but they're better as far as these guys that are slightly less than 2. So glass item frames, so cool. So it's going to go apple, coarse fruit, carrot. Again, this list is based solely on saturation and hunger haunch gain. So as you can see, the raw foods are not that great for you as far as saturation gain. Carrots are decent, coarse fruit and apples are about the same. Then we have all of these foods here that give 1 hunger haunch, and I have these a little bit out of order. I think I made this list based on saturation as we go down, but you can see that like tropical fish, dried kelp, potato, and beetroot actually don't give a full hunger haunch, so this list isn't perfect. Again, I said it's very arbitrary. And then these foods here, nobody eats because they can poison you, they can give you the hunger debuff, things like that, and the saturation gain from them is not great. And rotten flesh should actually be the number 1 because it has 2 hunger haunches, but again, we're not going to change that. This is a list that can be argued any time of the day. See what I did there? Oh no. There is the weather again. But yes, that is why we switched from mushroom stew to cooked beef, right? It's a little bit of an upgrade as far as hunger haunches and saturation gain. If what I wanted to do was get the best food in the game, hands down, it is golden carrots. It doesn't have the hunger haunches gain, but the saturation value from it is great. Now, let's talk a little bit real quick about that. You will see at the bottom here, we have our hunger haunches, and then we have a little bit of a glowing effect on this last little part of the haunch here, and then we have this pixelated bar that stops about here. As we run around and jump, you'll see that bar down here grows. That's telling us when we're going to lose our next bit of saturation or hunger. There's the saturation gone. And then we will go ahead and jump around until we lose just a fair bit more of a haunch. Boom. So that's pretty typical. Again, modded is just a more visual effect of how this stuff goes. But if we were to take something like the golden carrot out of this chest and we were to eat it, this gives us a visual too, a precursor of where our saturation is going to be and where our hunger is going to be. So if we were to eat this, our saturation is almost full and our hunger is almost full, but we need a little bit of a food to get all the way up to full saturation and full food. We did get the regen and absorption, I'm sorry, not fire resist, it's absorption that we get, plus the 2 hearts. That is why you could argue that this is better than this. But I digress. Anyway, that's all the things I have about food, and my reasoning a little bit more in depth of why we've changed from mushroom stew to cooked steak. Now, if you guys missed Foxy's live stream, he was actually down here buying some stuff, and somebody showed me the clip where he put down the ender chest, put down a shulker box to gather out stuff to start buying some dye, and he pushed or placed his shulker box right here. Which there's a minecart here that is the feed for the sugarcane farm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a shulker box here. So that doesn't happen again, where a lot of his gold was taken out rather quickly and placed into the machine here. And I believe he got it all out. So I'm going to place the shulker down, and now that won't happen. But that is an idea, and potentially a trolley idea for future shops, where we could just line the floor with hopper minecarts that will suck items out of people's boxes when buying things. Unintentional, but funny nonetheless. And it looked like Foxy missed 1 gold block. There was one sitting in a dropper somewhere. So I did bring that back over here, placed it down for him with a note, and let him know in the Discord that he missed a gold block. So Foxy has all of his items and stuff back. Again, a very unintentional thing, but funny nonetheless, and ideas for the future are a brewing. Perfect. I forgot to add in overflow protection to the system here on the mooshroom farm, so we're gonna do that. Like so. There is our get rid of items, and then what we're going to do is a little bit different than what we did over there. We have an item in here which is good. We need that there, and then something like so. Yes, this is going to shorten the run up just a little bit, and it's also going to make the redstone a little bit easier. So it should be a piston here. And then that like that. That guy like that. And now what we should be able to do is simply place in our repeater here and our comparator here. So we can actually drag the signal out of here through a block, and if I would have done that over on the mob farm over there, then we would have had this little situation here instead of the piece of redstone. No big deal, honestly. There we go. So what I've done over here as well is I've gotten rid of the chests and I put in shulker boxes. We have a shulker box of beef now, and I think we're going to end up putting that in our possession just so that we have our food. And then we can do this. And grab this bad boy as well. Platform's a little more done up. We have the redstone complete in this as well. I did notice about 22 steak and 11 leather were sitting inside of this hopper right here. No big deal. This is just an overflow protection, but we will be coming in replacing these as well. Since we have so many shulker boxes on the server, and the comment was made, I did come over here and change out the entirety of the storage unit on the mob farm. I did forget, however, to add in another minecart up there, but that's another problem for another time. So we've also put up the item frames that show what everything is, and I have colored the shulker boxes a little bit, just distinguishing between the rotten flesh, the bones, and the gunpowder. I did this before I added the item frames. And I did take the excess items that we have and put them here. We have 2 shulker boxes of gunpowder, 2 shulker boxes full of bones, and then 5 rotten flesh. Now, looking through villager trades and stuff like that, the only items that I can actually trade with villagers out of this whole setup here, obviously potatoes and carrots to farmers, but as far as mob drops go, rotten flesh and string are the only 2 that we can trade. String we can actually trade to 2 different villagers. We can trade them to fishermen and can't remember the other one now. Fletchers, that's the other one. Yep. Fishermen, I think the string trade is earlier than the Fletchers, but we have this chest here with our excess items, and my thought process was these and this should be in shulkers so we can move it, because what I think we're going to do, not today but soon, is have an area for some villagers maybe out over here so that we can take these items, take them over and do some trading with them, and set up sugarcane farm and all of that stuff. We also did do a little bit of organization in our ender chest here. I have a shulker full of cooked beef here, and then I've added a bunch of dye because I had to go out and actually get the orange dye. Still bones for the white. And then I emptied some of my other things. This one we still need to, but a lot of my other odds and ends from different projects we have emptied out. So I think that is a good setup here. We have the updated storage facility in the mooshroom farm. We have the updated storage for the mob farm. And now, really, all we have to do is just AFK at these farms. Almost got another shulker worth of beef, and we're getting close to that shulker full of leather. So, a couple of things that we can do. Start packaging this stuff up and putting more things in the base shop areas for sale, as well as maybe some mob drops, working with villagers and things like that. My run-on, though, with talking about food went a little long, so I think that's all the time that we have for today's episode. Plus, the next episode that I'm planning I want to get started on, and it's going to take a little bit of time, because I've got to do some extra research and things like that. Yes. Before we end, though, I did want to show off something that I have done. So I wasn't a part of the stream day. Cancel. That's not what I want to do. But I did make a new skin. And of course, so stream weekend, we had a theme for May the 4th, which was Star Wars. I did make 3 different skins, and I put put all 3 of them in the Discord, and then I also put a poll up on Twitter. And this is the one that won. It won the poll. The comments in Discord liked this one much better. So, in spirit of May, we're going to wear this skin. I haven't released it or shown it up until this point. I kind of forgot about it, let's be honest. But yes, we do have a skin, Stormtrooper Captain, looking pretty good. And I think we're going to do that more and more now that I've gotten better at making skins. We're going to have some for each month, whatever the theme may be, and hopefully we can get back to streaming. I don't think that yeah, by the time this video comes out, maybe we would have streamed. I don't know. Yep, we're just, bear with me. Things are going on. So anyway, if you want to keep updated with things like this and whatnot, I would check the description down below. There's links to Twitter. There's links to Discord. There's also links to Twitch in case you want to follow before I do any kind of streams. There's a link to the second channel where I put those streams up after. I upload the VODs to the second channel. And what else? There's link to Patreon down there, link to the Truly Bedrock Discord, Truly Bedrock website, and of course all the other members of Truly Bedrock. All of these people here, these wonderful individuals, there are links to their channels, except for this guy. They're offline. I don't know. And Chuck, of course. But anyway, there is a link to all of the other members' YouTube channels in the description down below. Be sure to check that out. Oh, thank you guys so much for watching. I surely do appreciate it. And if you enjoyed the video as much as I did making it, well then let me know by leaving a like or leaving a comment. A little bit different of an outro this time, but you guys know the routine. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.